I'm Ruzel, and I feel like talking about war today. War's on the mind, it's on the brain. There's a lot of war out there, the common, normal, the Ukraine war, the Russia and Ukraine, that's like the obvious. We've all heard about that one. That one's ever so prevalent. Everyone loves talking about that one. It's been going on for like 4 years or something. I don't even think either side even fucking remembers what they're fighting over. They both are claiming that the other side are Nazis and are genociding them. Whatever. That war. That war is lame. That one doesn't really have any substance to it. It's just a mindless meat grinder. I'm thinking about the war in Sudan. Have you heard about the war in Sudan? Now that's an actual war. That one's going nuts. It's basically a civil war between a couple different groups of people, two specific military groups, like the SAF and like the SCF or something. These two, whoa, sensitivity moment. Just these two like civil ethno identities inside Sudan that have decided to wake up. It's bad. It's horrifyingly bad. There has been so much bloodshed in Sudan, an unbelievable amount of bloodshed. Stuff that you could see from space. They were actively identifying like kill sites from satellites in space. You could see entire villages just coated in red because everyone there was slaughtered by one or the other side of this civil conflict. Civilians, like not even like strategic targets. They're just going to a village and they slaughter everyone there, and they do other horrible atrocities to people that are there. And that's been going on for a while now. I can't give you the exacts. I think about a year is when it was really starting to get coverage. People were genuinely talking about that shit. But that war, it's in Africa, so people don't really care as much, especially like the EU. They're worried about the war in Europe, not the war in Africa. But holy lord, talk about actual genocide going on. That's going on in Sudan right now, as we speak. Chad, that country, they're like neighbors. They've just been closing their borders. They're terrified. They're worried that these militia groups are gonna spill over into their border and just start exterminating people in Chad for no reason, or like a grand conquest or something. Absolute chaos going on in Africa there. And I'm gonna bring it up again, but if you haven't seen them, you really should take a look at the satellite imagery that just shows pools of red over hundreds of square feet near villages where people were just removed and just eviscerated from reality. That's crazy. That's war. That's real genocide. He can hear him. You just said that on the mic. Like, this guy could definitely hear that. And he's just unfazed. He's like, oh, am I fixing something? Not anymore. Unclouded by remorse. That's a lot like war. And usually the people that are dictating the orders of war, they're the ones that have no remorse. The individual soldiers, the actual people involved, are still human. And a war like what's going on in Sudan, and I guess a little bit of Ukraine, especially with the drone warfare going on in Ukraine, it gets me thinking, what does a world war look like? In today's age, modern times, modern weaponry, modern populations, modern cities, and supply chains, and I think I said technology already, and weaponry, and all that stuff. A genuine modern war that has United States involved, and maybe NATO's involved, or Germany, or some like China, Korea, Vietnam, Japan's militarizing now. The world wars of the past was pretty much just Europe, maybe like Northern Africa, maybe Russia was involved for some time. That's what a world war was. It's been like 100 years, almost 100 years since one of them have actually popped out. So if we have another world war, what does that actually look like? Does anyone even know? And how much different will it be if, say, the world war were to start today, 2026, and it's like the upcoming of things like AI and cyber attacks. Those are still relatively new technologies, kind of like how the airplane was in World War One. The airplane had been around for like 20-ish 15 years, and they threw some airplanes and blimps into World War One, and they had fairly good use, but they were a little limited. And then in World War II, the airplane had really been flushed out, and it was a key, devastating part of the war that was used in like almost every operation and was incredibly important. Is cyber attacking institutions or like infrastructure and AI bombardments, is that the like airplane of the next world war, where it's this newer technology, and when it actually gets brought in, it's gonna really fucking change some shit up. That guy took a lot of hits.
Structurally perfect organism, no question. Send in a... This should be more of a challenge for you. 6.
The smell of a human betrays its nature. But if we were to be a world war, there would have to be a cause. That's another big thing. World War I and World War II had their cause. Arguably, World War I, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, a huge, weird web of... Oh, hello, sir. How does he not know? There's a huge web of alliances, and then these two little piss-stained countries had a terrorist attack, and that was enough to get millions dead in trench warfare for 4 years, and gas strikes and all this other stuff. And Germany got blamed for it for some reason. World War II, Germany was getting a little crazy, and what the hell else do you expect was going to happen there with what happened to them in World War I, where they essentially lost the war, lost a huge portion of their working population, and then their economy was nuked into non-existence. And you've just got these people with nothing to do. You're gonna get a very radical change in what's going on there.
Trying to escape.
Yes.
Hearing the call of the matriarch, no doubt.
Yes.
Gas it.
This guy thinks he's so smart. I'm gonna rip his head off. But what would be the cause of a world war, a modern world war? And the most obvious answer there is resources. If we need these rare earth metals for these advanced technologies, if the world's going through mega droughts in massive parts of the planet, and populations keep rising, and asylum seekers keep happening, and underdeveloped areas keep getting their resources leached, or they run out, or they have a regime change that then restricts a certain type of material like oil. The cause of a world war in the modern age is likely going to be a resource. And so what resource reasonably would cause everybody in the world to go to war with each other, or to go to war with someone near them who has an alliance with somebody else, who then gets dragged in and has to go to war with another group? There's many resources that this could be, but personally, I think water, clean, drinkable, usable water, is going to be one of the big resources that will bring superpowers to fight each other in order to maintain their agendas. Especially if we've got things like AI data centers. That guy just left his buddy. Dude just booked it. Oh, hey. So water, that's a resource that everybody needs all the time. We need a lot of it. And it is a finite resource to a degree. There are things we can do to get more of it, like a desalination plant, and hopefully there will be methods and technology that ends up allowing our water needs as a people to be filled and maintained without much issue. It's a scary thought. This is like a motion sickness simulator game. So water. And specifically, I think water would be the resource we fight over. And I think I brought up the AI data centers. You know, these massive, almost like superstructures that'll require an unimaginable amount of water in order to run and maintain. And it'll give us, supposedly, advantages on technology that are unimaginable right now. I can't comprehend how valuable a AI data center would actually be. In the same way that I can't physically visualize how far away the moon is from the Earth. The space doesn't make sense to me. That's the resource and the reason for a world war on a grand scale. The only one that I can truly understand, especially with how concrete and set in stone borders are nowadays, and it's not very traditional, especially with Ukraine. As an example, Ukraine and Russia, just sending men and equipment over a borderline is a very unproductive way to go about a war. So it's really not trying to just increase your borders, except for very specific places in the world. It's not a very encouraging thing to start a world war over. Water for AI data centers, or just to keep your population alive in the next 50 years, that sounds like a legitimate reason to attack all of your neighbors at the same time, so that you can maintain power in the world we live in, right? What is a world war? Like, what are we really doing here? Hopefully I'm totally wrong. Hopefully I'm just talking out my ass right now, and everything I'm saying is a bunch of shit, and there's nothing like this is ever actually gonna happen. There's also the cyber aspect of war. That could very well be the next, like, genuine war. I mean, we don't even have boots on the ground. There's just drones get sent out everywhere, and cyber attacks to infiltrate infrastructure and destroy research projects, or targeted strikes on compounds that then just completely inhibit a country from doing something that another country wouldn't want, or whatever. Kind of like what's going on in Iran. You know, that was the name of the game there. The United States of Israel was given a task to just blow up a bunch of random points in Iran because we fucked up really hard with Operation Merlin 20-something, 30-something years ago, leading to Iran potentially having the capacity to make nuclear weapons or nuclear facilities. Also, speaking of nuclear, that's just boiling water. That's another thing that requires water. If AI data centers or the world's energy consumption keeps going up and up and up and up, despite all of the fucking propaganda on nuclear energy and other energies similar to that can give us all this power necessary to utilize these AIs and technologies we have, that also is just going to need a shitload of water. So there's another reason right there to go to war with your neighbor. Whoa, they can see me. That was weird. This is like more of a serious topic. Usually I'm just spouting a bunch of bullshit, but today I was thinking about war, and I was being serious. I had a serious mindset today, so I've decided that I was going to be a little more serious with the topic. What do you think? You think we're just going to be going in some water wars, resource wars in the next 50 years so that we can power these machines that'll destroy us? Or are we going to figure it out and technology will continue to advance at such a rate that most world peace for the most part can be maintained, and we genuinely distribute resources and keep up the globalization we got going on to the extent of where there won't be a reason for another world global war going on? I could see a potential out with technology, especially if it keeps going. If by some miracle we are able to mine an asteroid, there's a shitload of rare earth minerals right there, potentially, enough so that we can not have to infight with one another to get these technologies and maintain these technologies. And a comet. You know the difference between a comet and like a traditional space asteroid? Comets give off the tail, I believe. I believe they got like that tail to them. You see them in the night sky because there's like vapor of some kind coming off of them. If I'm not mistaken, a lot of these comets, the vapor is water. It's like a big frozen, icy water block in the sky. And that's another thing. If we were to somehow grab hold of one of these comets, get it in orbit of like our moon or something, and then we are able to essentially extract it for a massive amount of frozen clean water, there's an option right there to get water. But again, these are massive technological leaps that we're not at yet, and may be impossible. It's hard to know. But I absolutely hope that technology manages to overcome the human condition to violence, and that we won't see a global war or anything similar to what's going on in Sudan or Ukraine on a grand scale. And that's all I got today.